Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
Hey Josh.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing? Is this going to be? Do you need to see me? Are you recording the audio or recording the video, or are you gonna get everything and then write?
I was just planning on just the audio.
Okay. All right. I'll switch my camera off just to make sure we have a better connection.
Oh,
how's
sure.
that?
Oh, it's working great.
All righty then. How are you? You're that drummer guy.
Oh, that's right. It's great to be able to talk to you again and be able to talk about this brand new double album that you got coming out August 31st through Metal Blade.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Well, it's not really a double album. I see where people will look at it that way, and it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's two completely different albums, but they do mirror each other. You know, they do sort of reference each other. So I guess you could look at it that way. It's at the point now where it's out of my hands. Now it belongs to everyone else. It's not my baby anymore, which is that sad part of when you release an album. It's so personal to you, and then everyone else hears it, and that makes you hear what you did in a completely different way.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. And yeah, and while I'm thinking about it, you know, it's just like I can definitely see it from both ends where it is and isn't a double album at the same time. I mean, it is two completely different entities. I mean, I love the fact that one just like showcases your acoustic abilities and the other shows off that great heavy metal side. But, you know, it's just like both are equally heavy in their own different ways. And it's great to be able to hear that those two different aspects at the same time now come August 31st.
Yeah, I wanted the acoustic album to feel like a heavy album, that's for sure, and I wanted lyrically it to be heavy. So the song, Better or Worse, I wanted those lyrics are the heaviest lyrics. For me, you know, that I think that I've written are some of the heaviest lyrics I've written, where you would read that or hear that and go, whoa, you know, what's he saying? But then that's sort of the most beautiful song, or the prettiest song, I guess you could say, that has the least amount of minor chords of what the kind of stuff I write. And then, yeah, but Between the Space, I wanted to kind of get to the point more. When I would play the inverted grasp of balance material, that was my previous album, play that live, some of it was so complicated it seemed like it just kind of went over everyone's head. And so that, you know, that's the whole point, is having something for everybody.
Yeah, and I definitely hear it too. And you know, it's again, I appreciate that. I mean, it feels like a good yin and yang that's going on with it. I mean, being able to like focus on the dark, heavier lyrics on For Better or Worse, and then being able to get to that straight ahead heavy metal that's going on with Between the Space. But you know, it's just like I do kind of listen to it as a double album. Like I listen to both of them straightforward from start to finish, and I really love the feel of everything that's going on. And you know, it's just like it does tackle some like heavy moments that are going on there, both musically and lyrically. And it's just, I really love this approach. I love the fact that you thought of being able to do these two releases at the same time like that.
Thank you. Which album do you start with, just out of curiosity?
I got it in alphabetical order when it listed in, so I start with Better or Worse,
okay.
and then I go into Between the Space.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, I guess that's how I intended it. So if you're listening to everything in order, then after Beguiling, it would go into Panic Attack.
Oh, still there?
Yeah, okay, lost you for a second.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. But yeah,
What's the last thing you heard?
I heard something about Beguiling, and then it dropped out after that.
So if you that's how if you were to listen to the albums in order from the newest down to my first album, then after the song Beguiling, the next song in order, it would be Panic Attack, which is the first song on Inverted Grasp of Balance. And then right after Witch Trials, the last song on Better or Worse, you would go to Evidence. Although I do not listen to these two albums at the same time or together. It's almost strange for me to hear them both together, although they mirror each other, and I made them both at the same time. So I listen to them and then would listen to something else that I've done, which is kind of strange. I like to see how people listen to it because you just never know.
Oh yeah, and now I'm happy, even happier that I was listening to it that way. I mean, it's just it almost kind of feels like a prelude with all the acoustic stuff that's going on, and of course like all those heavy lyrical content that's going on, and then getting into the straight ahead metal that's going on there, and then with the last album, I mean, it's just like I really love what you did on the last album. I mean, you got one of my favorite drummers of all time being able to play with you on that album, and just like being able to showcase all of that's going on. So to me, like listening to those 3 albums in a row, it's like I really love hearing that progression of musically getting heavier and heavier from that point on.
Thanks. Oh, you say you do like the last album, or you did not like the last album?
I love the last album.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and Richard is amazing. Love that guy. One of the funniest people there is. And yeah, I told him on that album, just do whatever you want to do. Make it as heavy as you can possibly make it. So yeah, I do like to have every album to be a little different, almost like a polar opposite of the last album. But then also as the albums increase, it all sort of starts to make sense. And it all sort of becomes one thing.
Oh, and I love the idea of that, and I'm definitely gonna have to go back and like try to, if I have the time, make sure to like listen to everything in that reverse order and just see how it all flows together like that, because that just sounds like such an interesting concept that way.
Cool, yeah, and then I guess it could go either way. You could also start with the first album and listen to where everything's gonna go. But yeah, you listen to it and it's like listening to it backwards, like listening to an album backwards. Oh. And Inverted Grasp of Balance, I don't know if you caught this, but that album is backward. That whole album is about everything being backwards and upside down. So Pride Becomes Before the Fall is actually kind of the first track, and then it sort of ends with Cadabra. It's kind of like side 1 is side 2. That's kind of how I see it now. I didn't mean for it really to be that way. It seems like that's how it kind of came out. Just kind of weird. But that's what that whole thing was about. At the very end of that album process, I released a video for each song on the album too, and that's how I ended it, which usually you would want to release a video for every song at the beginning if you could.
Oh yeah, and it's like, again, it's just like whether it was intentional or not, I mean, everything that went into that album, and just like seeing that reverse progression of what's going on there, it's like I really love that, and it really makes you think.
Thank you. That's part of my job.
So getting back into these releases, I mean, of course, with both of them getting released at the same time through Metal Blade, which is again, it's awesome to see the continuation going on through Metal Blade. Did you have the idea to make both albums at the same time, or were you just working on songs and realized that it might be a good idea to like release 2 different releases?
Well, there's people who seem to like my acoustic stuff. There's people who seem to like the heavy stuff, and there's people who like both, and there's people who like one or the other. And some people don't like heavy music. Some people don't like acoustic music. But this way, you have something for everyone. And then sometimes I can only play acoustic. I don't have the means to do a show. I may get asked to do a show, but all I can do is do an acoustic show. So this way, I have new songs, new material. And when I do play acoustic, sometimes just as the way it goes naturally, everything is kind of slower. So I wanted to write something that's kind of really like it could be a heavy song, but it won't be.
Oh,
when I played Depth Perception for Brian Slagle, he was like, it sounds like it needs to be a heavy song. And I said, yeah, but that's the idea. It's not going to be. I've got my heavy songs for my heavy songs. Because I need, something that's just going to get your attention as if I was just playing acoustic.
Yeah, and to me, at least, I mean, it is heavy without, the distortion needing to be there. I mean, just with Depth Perception is such a great example of that. I mean, it is such a heavy riff, but it's so cool to be able to hear that in that acoustic guitar setting. And I imagine, for the live show, I mean, when it is by yourself, it's like being able to have like a full album of brand new material, and you're able to still showcase that heavier side now with more music from this release. I mean, that's gotta be really fun to be able to say that.
It is, and now it's at the point where what am I going to play live? You pick one song off of each album, and then you put that with whatever your most popular songs are. Like as far as videos, Before the Morning Sun has the most views, and on Spotify, Arisen in Broad Daylight has the most listens or streams. So you kind of put all of that together. So I'm going on tour opening for Sebastian Bach starting September 26th. And so now, is the time you start thinking about the set list, and it's like, what are you going to play? So it's fun putting all this together, and that was the purpose. It's always the purpose when I'm writing, is what songs do I need live?
Yeah,
what kind of song? Like in Vertigressive Balance, I needed faster, heavier, crazier songs. For the Power of Three, I just needed heavy songs because everything I did was sort of acoustic and then sort of a hybrid acoustic rock kind of thing. And so now this is taking all of that and doing the best thing you could do where you are right now.
Yeah, and it's great to see that creativity and inspiration flowing when it comes to that. I mean, even if it does come from necessity about what to add and what styles you want to incorporate into your live shows, be it a full band or acoustic or whatever the case is, but, that inspiration and creativity can come so much in handy, especially when it turns out the way that it has with both of these albums. And yeah, I was going to bring it up earlier, it's just like, that's so cool that you're getting to be able to open for Sebastian Bach and be able to show off this brand new material live so close to when the album comes out.
Yeah, that is just that's amazing, and Sebastian's awesome. He's so helpful and supportive, and it's going to be a lot of fun going out opening for him. What an honor. My guitar teacher, when I first started taking guitar lessons when I was 14, two of the first things he showed me were "I Remember You" and "18 in Life," because those songs were really popular at the time. And it's kind of like if you were to go back and say, it's like if you could go back in time or something and say, like, yeah, the first tour that you do is going to be opening for this guy 30 years from now or something.
Yeah, it's amazing how something like that can come full circle like that. I mean, from like the beginnings of being able to play to now being able to show off a brand new album of like being able to open for someone that you learned the songs from. I mean, that's just so cool.
It's it's such perfect timing for everything, and to go out and play this stuff. For my new band, when we go on tour, my band is Jerry Montano on bass and John Deddy on drums. And Jerry played bass for Danzig and Hell Yeah, of course, and John Deddy's played for Slayer, Anthrax, and Testament. So I've got an amazing band, and it's, I've never had the situation where I'm playing every night in a row with my own band. There's I've gone to South by Southwest and back. We maybe do like a week string of shows. This last year, and for the first half of this year, I would play these one-man shows where it's just me, and I'll start out acoustic, and then that'll turn into my I'll play my heavy songs, and I'll just use the bass and drums from my albums as the tracks. I played at a party like that, and people were like, "This is awesome! You should do shows like this." And so I started doing shows like this, and then I could just fly anywhere and play. So now I'm putting everything all together, and now coming back and playing all this stuff with a band, and not just any band. Like these guys are so incredible, and I can't believe it. I just talked to them both about, like, hey, who do you recommend I get? I need to get some guys. The people I played with before, everyone's busy. In LA or just anything in the music climate right now, you got to be in so many bands. You have to do so many things to survive. Plus, we have the luxury and to be able to do so many things, and so they're like, hey, I want to do it, so it's gonna be cool.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's just like it's so awesome to see that you're in that position where you can write two albums like this and be able to tour behind both of them, like get a full band together, getting two amazing musicians like both of those guys to be able to help you out with these songs, and then also be able to go out with your acoustic and be able to rock out just as hard. I mean, it's great to be able to see that you're in a position like that.
Yeah, it's there's no time to stop and smell the roses. It's something I'll sort of look back on and go, wow, that was amazing. I'm glad I got to do that.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, again, it's just, with being able to release two albums like this, one full-on acoustic, one full-on heavy metal, I mean, how does that inspiration hit you when it comes into, writing both albums at the same time? I mean, was there any particular songs that, you felt might have worked better in one album or the other, or did everything feel natural while you were writing it?
Everything felt natural. I teach guitar lessons online, and so, I'll see the student over Skype or FaceTime, show them what we're working on. I have a curriculum where we build it from the ground up, so you really understand everything you're doing. and then I'll email the lesson, to them written out. And sometimes you're learning a song that you've never played before, or sometimes there's a song you never heard before, and that song may just go in with the lesson. Also, I do these jam nights at the Whiskey, the ultimate jam night, and there'll be a theme, and so you get asked to play, and so you learn a song. The same thing. You may not have ever took the time to learn this song on guitar. So all those things get into your muscle memory, and then you just start playing sometimes, and you just get inspired by a new riff. So that's one way. And then some of the main riff of Evidence is the first thing that I wrote when Inverted Brass Balance was done. Like when the final master, everything had been delivered to Metal Blade. It's like the next time I picked up the guitar, I started playing that riff. Sometimes at Madonna's sound checks, like when we're waiting around, I'll just sit there and just play. I'll have my volume down really low where no one else can hear me, and I'll always video myself with my phone. So if I do come up with a riff, I can see what I did and where I played it, as opposed to how I used to just record the audio, but then sometimes it's like, wait, did I play that here on the guitar, or did I play it up here? And sometimes you can miss the creativity of what you were doing at the time, and then it's never the same. So that's how some of it came about. And then some of the stuff on the acoustic, I'll just pick up the acoustic and just start playing, and then there's a riff. I'm like, oh, I better start recording this. I remember Have Faith came that way. The song Have Faith, I was just sort of just walking by, so I just picked up my guitar for a second, and all of a sudden I just started playing that riff. And I was like, uh-oh. And I wrote that whole song, right then and there.
Oh, yeah, again, it's amazing how that can happen with the creative mind, because you never really know when inspiration's going to hit like that. And, whether it's a sound checking for Madonna or sitting at home on your couch with your acoustic, I mean, when there's good music flowing and you're able to record it on your phone and check back and see if it's what you want it to be, if there's anything to tweak or anything like that, or if it just comes out perfect the way that you have it recorded on your phone, there's so many different aspects that can go into it.
Yeah, all the guitars on all of Between the Space, and then some of Better or Worse, actually. I kept the guitars of the first time I recorded it. I didn't go back and it's like, okay, now we're going to track the guitars for real. The first time that I laid it down, I wanted to lay it down right. Just in case there's something, like, or just lay it down right the first time, and why would you have to do it again? Like Have Faith, Better or Worse, both of those songs are just sort of, the first time I came up with it, I just laid that down. I started building the session, and when I went back later on, it was like, wait, I like the guitars I did originally better. And the song Turning Retrograde is like that, where I had the strum guitar, but then later on it was just a quick idea of doing that finger picking intro. I was like, oh, I really like this, and so I just set up the mic and I recorded it really quick and didn't think twice about it, and that's that. So a little bit of a different process. That way you get a little bit of different character in each of the songs.
Yeah, and I really love that approach too. I mean, just with that writing style and everything, and just like everything you mentioned, I mean, sometimes it just like coming up with an idea with like that finger picking, which is one of my favorite parts between both albums. I love that intro with the finger picking that's going on there with that, and just like also getting into the heavier moments into Between the Space as well. And when it comes into that, when it comes to the recording sessions, I mean, how was the difference between like focusing on just the acoustic stuff as compared to being able to add all the other instruments in between both albums?
It just came from being in a certain frame of mind or a certain vibe at one time or another, and that was it. Just that's a really great great thing about me doing everything and producing both of these albums, doing everything myself, is if I felt like, if I was playing my guitar, like, okay, I'm warmed up, I'm in the zone, I want to record this riff right now, I can do it. Instead of, oh, can't wait to get in the studio next week and record this riff, but my head is completely somewhere else. That's a great thing about that.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing to be in that position as well. I mean, especially when you get to call this under your solo moniker. I mean, you're able to have that control over everything that you want it to be. I mean, whether it's the writing of the songs or producing and the layouts of how everything is, and of course deciding on the right people to be able to play these songs live, be it the full band or by yourself acoustically. I mean, again, just like the whole idea idea of being able to have both these albums for people who either like acoustic, like heavier music, like both, one or the other. You know, it's like it's great, especially for this album cycle, to be able to go between both of those, between everything else that you got going on.
Yeah, it's well, you got to keep busy in these times. You gotta just keep you have to keep coming up with new ideas, new ways to reinvent the wheel, and new ways to reinvent yourself.
Oh, absolutely. So, in speaking of that as well, I mean, obviously, you got that amazing tour that's going to be going on with Sebastian Bach coming up. Is there anything else planned that you got going on as far as like shows or anything for the end of 2018 or 2019 yet?
Nothing past there yet. I'm going to be a counselor at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp right after this tour, and that takes place in Florida. So that's kind of perfect timing also. So then I want to start getting shows, booking shows, I guess, on my own, just getting back to LA. But there's a CD release show for these albums Thursday, August 30th at the Viper Room. It's a Metal Assault showcase, and I play early. I play at 7 p.m. And that's going to be that'll be the first time you can get the CDs right there. So I hope everybody comes out to that.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't have any other. I don't have anything else booked then. After that, those are things to start working on now. So, but hopefully soon I have some more information about one thing or the other.
Oh, definitely, and I'm sure that'll come in time too. But with that CD release show, I mean, that's so awesome you get to do that. My friend Andrew, he's the one that runs Metal Assault, so it's great he was able to get you out for that, and really get that proper promotion for both of it. Yeah, he's a great guy. But I mean, that's so cool that it's like the perfect timing being able to do that CD release show, and then the next day both of them are available and at the show too. I mean, that's just like, it's so great that it was able to be planned out that way.
Yeah, I'm really lucky that time. And then Alice in Chains are playing. I think they're playing on Wednesday, and I think they're playing on Friday, because I told my booking agent, I was like, all right, we can't do a show when Alice in Chains are playing, because I want to go. One time there's the first time one of the first times I got to headline the Whiskey on a Saturday night. And I grew up in a small town in Texas, so you never even think that one day you are going to headline the Whiskey on a Saturday night with your band, much less as a solo artist. So I get that date, and I tell all my friends, like, hey, make sure you come out. They're like, oh, no way, man. Meshuggah's playing the Wiltern. I'm like, oh, you are kidding. So then I started checking when they would give me dates, like, hey, you want to play this date? I'm like, hang on, let me see, make sure, Metallica aren't playing on the corner outside doing a free show. And everyone's going to go to that. So, yeah. Yeah,
I can definitely imagine. I mean, especially in a city as huge musically as LA, I mean, making sure that the priorities are there for any shows that you want to go see, or, people want to go see. And, that's why it's so great to be able to see that you were able to get the date that you were able to be able to give both of these albums the proper promotion they deserve.
Yeah, it is. I hope to see everyone there.
Oh, awesome. And I think being able to promote that, I think that's a perfect way to be able to end this interview. Thank you so very much for taking time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on. And of course, talking about both albums, Better or Worse and Between the Space, which is coming out at August 31st through Metal Blade. Of course, the CD release show through Metal Assault at the Viper Room. I mean, that's so cool you're able to do that the night before. Upcoming touring with Sebastian Bach and everything else that'll be coming up towards the end of the year and into 2019. It's awesome to see the position that you're in right now, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be able to talk to me.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the support and helping me get all the information about these albums out to everyone.